Hi, my name is Craig Fraser, and this is
Chris Arpin.
And we're here in the beautiful East Granby, Connecticut studios of Createx Colors. We're here for another video. This is actually another one of our cosplay videos. This is kind of cool. This is a sculpture I got from Walter Cosito out of Vegas. He's the one that also has printed a lot of our other stuff in the past. And this you recognize if you're a Star Wars guy. It's a little bit of a take on Darth Maul, more of a skull version of Darth Maul. And this is something you can actually wear. Matter of fact, it does fit his head nicely because he has a small head and he has no hair. But it comes apart. It even has an articulating jaw on here. This piece was done with filament printing, and it doesn't require a lot of prepping because Walter did some of the work for us. But if you see, some of these areas in here are going to where the magnets are going to go. So when this goes on someone's head, you kind of just click it all together. I'm going to have Chris going to come over, kind of clean up some of these edges, and some of these areas you can actually see there's some light coming through some areas that are a little bit thin, and that's just some inclusions in the filament during the printing process. He's going to go ahead and use some two-part epoxy to clean that up. And why don't you tell us a little about something what you're going to do to maybe do the rest of the body work on this? Go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, I mean, everything we're using is stuff that it's readily available at even an auto parts store or like a Home Depot, home improvement stores. The two-part epoxy, there's a couple different ones. There's a fast and a slow two-part epoxy. We'll probably use a little bit of both on that. Like Craig mentioned, there's a couple areas on the inside here. It's a little thin, it's a little weak, so we're going to just kind of reinforce that with a little bit of epoxy, let that set.
Couple areas, like there's like a very distinct hole right there.
Like what Craig was doing before, we're just kind of holding it up to the light to see if we could see any kind of penetrations. What we'll do is just kind of fill those with some epoxy. We have that 1K spot putty, which is an air dry spot putty. It's not catalyzed.
That's what we use on the Bo-Katan helmet to do all the smoothing.
Really good. Yeah. So we'll kind of go and do those little dial-ins after we epoxy up. And again, like Craig said, this is pretty clean and pretty good. We're going to clean up a little bit of the edges of the teeth and really get this thing ready for a little bit of our autoborne sealer. That's really going to give the build. We'll probably do a coat of 4050 first.
Yeah, I was going to say that even though we don't need to really put any sandable sealers on this, we're not going to we don't want to get rid of all the texture. And if you look at this, there is a little bit of mapping. You can see some of the mapping from the filament print, but it's not that bad. Yeah. And it's one of those things where if you fix that, you're going to have to fix it all, and that's a lot of work. I'd rather keep some of that texture. If anyone that knows Darth Maul knows the majority of this helmet's going to be black with red for the patterning on the face, and then you got the horns have like a natural yellow dirty bone look, as well as the teeth. So we're going to hit the whole thing with a UVLS 4050 clear, which is not only a great clear made by Createx, but is a fantastic adhesion promoter for 3D prints, whether you're using filament, ABS, PVC, you name it, even the SLA prints, this stuff sticks to phenomenally. So we'll put a nice light coat on that, and then I think we're going to probably do the whole thing in red, masking off the horns, then back mask with the black. So we'll kind of continue telling you what we're going to do as we're going along, but right now Chris is going to go off and get this all prepped and cleaned up and ready for us to start painting.
We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Okay, we've given this a little bit of a once-over. We had some epoxy, two-part epoxy we put on that edge. If you remember, we had some holes there. Also kind of reinforced some other areas and fix it up. And you went over, what did you do? You went over the whole thing with what's kind of
I hit it with 320 just by hand, and then I went back over with a red Scotch pad with a little bit of scuff paste just to get real quick, just to make sure there's no kind of surface contamination. Real light, just quick kind of scuff, get a little bit of tooth on there. Rinse it with warm water, blow it off, and we are ready to go.
That's one thing I haven't shown you guys. It's really imperative, whether it be a resin cast model, or just our injection molded or 3D printed, before you want to give it a good scrub. Now, be really careful on some of the filament printed models. Some of those are water soluble and they actually absorb water, but the UV cured ones and the SLA UV cured, they're fine to go. You always want to give them a good scrub, get any of that, any contamination off the surface. We're actually not going to be going with a UVLS clear right on this adhesion promoter because we're going to be using the opaque red predominantly over this, and the opaque red actually has a very similar resin inside as the UVLS 4050. But we want a little bit more adhesion, so what we're going to do is a little bit of a cocktail. So you're saying you're going to add how much you think of the UVLS?
About 25-30% UVLS to the wicked opaque red.
It's not normally necessary, but we want really good adhesion because everything is going on top of this red, and we are going to be doing some masking on it. So because of that, there's going to be some nooks and crannies. It can't hurt. And this UVLS red covers so well, you add 20% clear to it, it's still going to do a really good job. Plus we're going over white. Now, if you see me doing some masking here, I want the teeth to stay the white. I'm actually going to use the resin white and not building up any color on there, I'm going to come in and tint them yellow for the teeth, but I want to mask them off. So I'm using some FBS gold tape here, and it's a very waxy tape, very similar to the type of automotive tape I used to use in Japan back in the 90s, and then now it's available over here. FBS has it, 3M has a blue version as well, or green actually, that works. Now I've got a little, one of those little Faber-Castell erasers you see illustrators use for typewriters. I use that to press the tape into some different areas. And I'll tell you something else I use this for. If you ever needed to draw on something, if it's a metallic or it's a base coat and you don't want to use a pencil or a grease pencil, I use these, and it's on any darker area. It leaves enough of a erase mark behind you can see, so you can do a light sketch. Airbrush on it, you'll never see it. It's no big deal. So these actually work good, not just erasing on illustrations, but actually the eraser is used as in a drawing tool when you're working on base coats, especially ones you do not want to put pencil on. So I got all the tape masked off on this, and then this is ready to go ahead and hang. And we're going to be hanging, once I get these, all the teeth and the horns masked off, we're going to hang them on the rack back here. As you see this piece, we already have clamped on here. It's actually on here pretty good. And then Chris is going to come in and spray it all with that opaque red mixture with the UVLS, and of course a little about, how much, about 5% of the 4011?
Probably 10% maybe.
10%. With the spray gun, you need a little bit more, yeah, so no big deal. But that's his job. So let me get this all masked, and then next thing will be Chris spraying the red on our Darth Maul.
All right, guys, welcome back. We have all our horns, all our teeth totally taped off. We're ready to go. I mixed up my Wicked opaque red, and we're going to do probably about 2 coats. I think 2 coats is going to be more than enough to really get good coverage on all this. We don't want to go ahead and pound a lot of material on because we're just going to end up developing a really gnarly edge on the tape. So 2 coats is probably going to be perfect to cover, get a nice vibrant color, and give a nice base for Craig to do the artwork on top of. For that, I'm using my LPH 80, the 1.2, about 14 psi. We don't want to go crazy air pressure. This is perfect for this gun, and I have my paint reduced right around 10%. So I did 4-to-1 with the 40-50. So 4 parts Wicked opaque red, 1 part 40-50, 10% 40-11. Mix it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and we are ready to spray.
Okay, we've given this red overnight to dry, which is really important if you're going to be masking on it. You can mask on it within an hour, but we are doing a lot of masking on this, and it was directly on the resin surface on any sealer. So overnight worked out really, really good. Still have the teeth all masked. I'm going to leave those masked. And the majority of Darth Maul, what I didn't realize is this entire back of his head and his sides are really black. So you'd say, well, if the majority was black, why don't you paint it black first and then red second? Black covers red a lot better than red covers black. So, I mean, we'll show up a picture on the video, but you can see a little shot of Darth Maul right there, and you see all the black in his face. The cool thing is I don't have to design it. It's actually in the print. I can see the pattern. So what I need to do is mask off the red for me to come in with the black, and then I'm going to hit it with a mixture of the opaque black, a little bit of candy black just for coloring to give it a little bit of a blue factor in there, and some UVLS 40-50 for adhesion promoter. And I'm going to spray that whole area black, then unmask it, work on the horns, and then we're going to do a final, Chris will actually probably do a final UVLS satin clear on it because we want it to have a little bit of a shine, but not quite, glossy. And then all we have to do after that, like I said, as I mentioned, I always, keep an eye on the areas where the magnets are going to go, and then we'll have those mounted, and Chris will have his new daily masks to wear around the shop. Okay, after a whole heck of a lot of masking on Darth Maul, and when I mean a whole heck of a lot of masking, I mean a whole heck of a lot of masking. Now, I used the FBS gold here tape, and worked out really good. I was starting to do the tear the rip and tear technique where you just rip a piece, tear it. It was taking a long time, and I was following the existing pattern, so luckily I didn't have to sketch out Darth Maul's face pattern. What I masked off here is a positive mask. I'm masking off the reds, I'm keeping the red. So imagine what you're seeing here is reverse. The yellow is red, and the red is going to be black. These look red, they are red, it's tape. These are masked off, these are still white horns. The reason there's yellow tape at the base is there's a little bit of red around the base of the horn before it goes black, so I masked that off too. A couple of areas were hard for me to see, so I had to kind of like make it up as I went along. You want to go over a couple times. I just saw something I missed just now, right here on the inside of this nose, little area I need to mask off. Great thing about this, this gold tape, is that it kind of squishes and you can kind of stick it in little areas. If I get a little bit of a bleed, it's going to look okay anyway. It's not that big of a deal. I did this part. Now the majority of Darth Maul is black. Like his jaw, for instance, his only area is red is right here. This is all black. So I put it back here on the rack. His head with the horns is going all black except for that little red area ring around there. And of course these are masked off. That's still white. I mixed up a combination of opaque black, a little bit of candy black just to put a blue in there to get away from the sepia, and then I added a little bit of the UVLS 4050 for extra adhesion and sprayability. I probably didn't need to, but the reason I'm doing that is I'm also got another piece over here. If you're saying, what the hell is this with Darth Maul? This is not part of Darth Maul. It's not a hat or anything. This is part of IG-11 that we forgot in the last video. So I mix up the black, since I don't really care what black Darth Maul is exactly. I mix up the black we used for IG-11, and that had the UVLS because we're going over bare 3D print here. So he's hitching along for the ride. Got my LPH80 all nice and loaded up with that black killer PPS cup that I borrowed from Chris, since Chris is not here today, so I'm doing this. If you're wondering, and give a little quick shout out to my buddy Larry over at Looney Lures, he created a product called the Last Rack. Now this right here, it's all billet aluminum and stainless. As you see, this holds 6 airbrushes here. It's got a little stand right there for your parts, a couple of racks here for airbrushes, bigger brushes, and you can even fit, yes, your spray gun on this rack. Big old nice billet clamp there. I've got one at my shop that is actually attached to a cymbal stand, so I can move it around. It's self-standing, doesn't clamp to anything. Very cool. Check it out. It's called the Last Gun Rack, and the Last Gun Rack, and you can get them at just about any supplier out there. They're just coming out right now. So a little plug in there for my buddy Larry. Hey Larry, how's it going? So I've got everything ready to spray. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, and when we come back, I'm going to start spraying Darth and his buddy IG-11. Okay, we gave our black a little time to dry, and time to unmask and see what we got going on underneath. There we go. See a little bit of that red around there, and you get a little bit of a creep. And you're going to get some paint creep even with the best tape, and I'll tell you why. On 3D print, especially filament prints, you're going to get those pathing marks, and those are perfect little channels for paint to run around inside of. I know this is really bright white right now. It's not going to be bright when we're done. I'm going to get them all unmasked before I start actually doing some airbrushing, but just want you to see how this, let me get these teeth off of here too down here. You'll see the contrast this red really has. And even any bleeds that black has, it just looks natural. It looks like it's supposed to be there. Okay, after about 5 or 10 minutes of peeling and masking and tearing my fingernail on this. Paint's so tough it tore my fingernail, damn it. Anyway, got all the masking tape off of Darth Maul, and there's a couple of bleeds here. It's not the end of the world. Now, I was looking for some Q-tips around here, and Chris Hartman doesn't have any Q-tips. Tells me 2 things. He doesn't know the easiest way in the world to clean airbrushes and spray guns and to do little touch-ups and to fix things and to paint things, and he probably has dirty ears. So either way, Q-tips. Get our cotton swabs if you're not into branding. But I did find some airbrush cleaners over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use one of those. Put a little bit of 4011 on your airbrush cleaner right there. See, I got a little bit of red up in here. I can hit that with the brush. don't know if you can watch that in there. Just kind of scrubby. And it comes clean. Now, is that the end of the world? No, it's not that big a deal. But every now and then, like some of these horns, if we look at them, there's probably a couple of bleeds that are really bad. Oh, there's a couple that are really outstanding. I'm going to take my wet brush right there, kind of scrape. Won't take them completely off because some of that paint got really into those grooves of the 3D print. But it'll knock it down enough. Oh, there's a real bad one right there. Let's get a little reducer on this. There's no way to eliminate bleeds. You can attempt to prevent them. You could reduce their frequency, but you'll always have them. So learn to deal with them. Now be careful on working on your surfaces. Know your surface. Now, I could grab some 91 or 90 proof alcohol, but that might actually start damaging the 3D print. Be careful on that. You don't want to do that. Now, did it take it all off? No, but took some of it off right there. You see that? I just want to get a little bit of it off. I'm going to be discoloring these horns anyway. I just want to kind of help make sure I don't have too many bleeds that are kind of obnoxious. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's good. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I've got, let me see, got some root beer brown in here. I'm going to reduce the pressure down because that is a lot of pressure. Take my end cap off so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll start by coming in on one of these horns. I'm just going to come in and just a little bit of, make sure it's spraying right. I got a stuck trigger. There we go. You can put a little reducer in here. This paint's a little on the thick side. And it's pretty hot in here. I can come in. I'm going to use a little bit of this root beer. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see with the camera what I'm doing here. I'm hitting just the base of that horn or tooth, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, this is not a tooth, it's a horn, but similar. And I'm doing a couple of streaks coming up it. But see, what I'm doing is a combination of things. I'm giving a little bit of depth to the base of this horn and hiding any bleeds or any feathering I might have gotten from my red. Can't see this one going on the back side, so let me do another one you can see here. Hold it here. Little dagger strokes. If you get a little bit of a blowout, don't worry about it. There we go. See, it's a little discoloration is all you need. And I'll be doing the exact same thing in between the teeth, at the base of the teeth right here. Oh, a little bit too much there, but that actually kind of looks good. I like that. Darth Maul, he's upset because he's got gingivitis. Doesn't really brush his teeth too much. All villains usually don't. They have bad teeth. See how that discoloration is really nasty in there. And letting the airbrush, the natural blowout that the airbrush creates, works perfect. Hit the back of these teeth too. Maybe even do a little flick trick. Remember we did that little flick trick we've done in the past to create stippling and texture? Well, that's even better. Look at his teeth now. His teeth are really gross. Cool. We're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to do this on all the horns and all the teeth. Then I'm going to come back with a little bit of tequila yellow candy and clean that up. Now, if you're wondering how I mix it up, it's not pure candy I'm using on this. I didn't use pure dirt track brown. It is a mixture of about 30% dirt track brown to the UVLS 4050. And then I mix that up, a little bit of 4011, put that in the airbrush. So we're gonna get that all browned out, and when I come back, I'll show you the use of tequila yellow to really yellow up these teeth and horns. Okie doke, got all the brown on there. I got it really goopy because I started all of a sudden realizing when it got really wet, it kind of dripped and seeped and splattered, and it looked even better. So it's kind of sitting back there drying. I got a couple of drips. That actually looks really good. Just gonna use a little bit of yellow, not much. What I mean by that, this is tequila yellow candy, the Candy 2.0 line. And it's mixed about 30% by volume to the UVLS 4050 clear. Like barely just hit a little bit on this, not much. And I'm not hitting the top, I'm hitting the base and letting the overspray take care of the rest. I'm not worried about what it's gonna do on the black or the red. That's the beauty of candy. You're not gonna really notice it. I just wanna give the teeth a little bit of a yellow cast. Not making them bright yellow, just kind of dingy. You could even maybe do some splatter. Let me see, the splatter makes a difference? Nah, you can't even see the splatters. But just a little bit of yellow. See how that? Just a little bit makes it, goes a long way. We're making day glow yellow teeth. And this isn't the final step. We're going to come in with some candy black. See, just a little bit like that. I left some of it alone. Now, the thing I want to do with the teeth is I want them to stand out a little bit more, so I need some contrast. I'm going to come in with this. This candy black is all it is. So let me turn this up a little bit. Okay, just candy black. And I'm going to use that in the gaps. Just in the gaps of the teeth. Be careful not to get too much in there because otherwise your black will go all over the place. I just want to separate those gaps. And because it's candy black, it's not going to kill all my other colors in it. It'll kind of just darken up the dinginess of the. If I get it wet, it'll kind of force the flow. Sometimes you get paint wet in there, and the wet paint will find a crease and flow into it and do something you couldn't even imagine being able to do with your brush. It'll just follow a nice line. Of course, sometimes it does that. It doesn't look good, but that's one of those things. I got that done there. Let me do his teeth here. These ones need a lot of help because you can't see hardly any separation. So I'm going to do a real thin line. Okie doke. See, I'm just kind of coming in and just staying in that valley, not trying to do a perfect line. I kind of want it to kind of creep and do its own thing. Let the overspray also help you on it. And then continue over. And this just kind of emphasizes this natural crack. Now, you're not going to see it if I did it on the black, because once we clear coat it, you won't see that. But on the red, I did kind of want to see that on the red. So give it a once over, see if there's anything else on here I want to do. Yeah, there is. There's little indentations that you're going to get. There's a little hole that's in all skulls right around there. So a little airbrush in there. And because the black candy didn't kill the red, just darkened it, made it like a darker red. And a little bit in one in there too. And it just emphasizes the shadows in that. Gives a little bit more personality. Yeah, I did a little dark shadow in there, just to kind of, a little crease. And I think we're good. We're done. This piece is ready for Chris to clear coat and give you a little preview on how the jaw is going to look in there. I'll just pop that sucker in real quick. And oh yeah, see? That makes just enough of the white on there to pump it up, but yeah, that's creepy as all hell. Back. Craig had to hop on a plane and get back home, so I am going to finish up the tail end of this project, which is actually just the top coat. So for this, because we have a couple different looks in terms of the gloss level of the paint that's on here, a couple different between the opaque and the black sealer and all that. So we're going to put a satin clear. This is our UVLS 4051 satin clear, and that is going to give two things. Actually going to even out all those differences in the shine and make it really nice and just kind of one nice even tone, real nice sleek looking finish. And it's also going to protect it from fingerprints and marring and all that and really lock down that paint. So we are going to go ahead and get the booth running, and I am going to spray 2 coats of our UVLS satin. I always mix this about 10%, 40-11, let it sit for about 5-10 minutes. Put it in my gun, and we are ready to spray. So we'll see you guys in a second. All right, guys, we are back. 3 coats of satin.
completely finish this off, and that wraps up this project. So you guys can see exactly what we're able to do with a couple simple products, from our sealers to our wicked opaques and our UVLS gloss, and a little bit of illustration for the details. So for Craig Fraser and Craig Fraser Studios and Createx Colors, I'm Chris Arpin. Thanks for checking this out, and we will see you guys next time.